can start. It's a tremendous chus. It's a privilege to take part in this wonderful endeavor. It's a great project. When I first heard of it from Rav Miller about 6 or 8 months ago, I was very excited. And I think it's a tremendous chus for anyone who's involved. Imam Hashem is going to pick up, in the Daf Yomi cycle, many times when the Daf Yomi cycle starts, it's packed for Masechet Brachos. When it comes time for Shabbos, Shabbos, Ba Menucha, so people take a rest. Time comes for Masechet Eruvin, that's already Mechutz Latchum. When it comes time for Masechet Psachim, Baal Yereh, you can't find the guy. Baal Yereh, Baal Yimatzeh. In Mitzvah Hashem, it's not going to be like that in the Shulchan Aruch. It's just going to pick up more and more and more. Ad shemala haaretz deya es Hashem kamayim layam mechasim mitzvah Hashem. I can't think of a greater zchus to be involved in. Not just you guys, especially the Magid Shiur and the founder, the facilitator, the organizer of all this. It's a tremendous, tremendous zchus, and I'm envious of you. Who wouldn't be envious of Meir Shapira today? But back then, people mistama laughed at him. Okay, so you got 15, 20 guys. He's laughing today. You're going to be laughing in Mitzvah Hashem. After 120, you don't understand the reward that's waiting for you over there. Mezakeh Arabim, there is nothing like it. So it's a tremendous, tremendous chus. So now that you embarked on the journey of Hilchos Shabbos, the title for this year was the unknown halachos of Shabbos. Now that's kind of a tricky, because if it's unknown, I'm not supposed to reveal them. If I will reveal them, they're not going to be unknown. If I will say some halachos and they are known, so the title is totally wrong because it wasn't unknown. But ha'echreach lo yegune, and we're going to try, we'll do our best. But just a few words before about the chashivus, the tremendous importance of learning Hilchos Shabbos and teaching Hilchos Shabbos. The Bach in Orach Chaim Siman Reish Tzadik brings a Yalkut Shimoni, in Parshas Vayakel, Remez Talmid Chochem. That's the way to remember it. Remez Taf Ches, Talmid Chochem. And listen to a language of the Medrash. Vayakel Moshe, that's how the Parsha starts. Vayakel Moshe. Amhu Rabotenu Baalei Agada. Our rabbis say, Mitchilas HaTorah ve'ad Soifa, from the beginning of the Torah until the end. En ba Parsha sheneemar beroisha Vayakel el Azois Bilva. This is the only time you find the word Vayakel. And Moshe Rabbeinu gathered everybody here. Why? Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Aselecha kehilos gedolos, gather a lot of people, udrosh lifneihem barabim hilchos Shabbos. Why is it so important? Kedei sheyilmedu mimcha doiros habayim lehakhil kehilos bechol Shabbos v'Shabbos velichnos batei midrashois lelamed ulehoiros liYisrael divrei Torah isu veheter kedei Sheyehe Shmi HaGodol Miskales Ben Banai. So that's exactly what you're doing. You're following suit. Moshe Rabbeinu is the example, and you're learning from him. The Eglei Tal has a tremendous chiddush. Eglei Tal is the Avnei Nezer. And he writes, just like we find that Shabbos has the weight corresponding to all the mitzvahs, so too, one who learns Hilchos Shabbos and one who teaches Hilchos Shabbos has the weight corresponding to learning and teaching all the mitzvahs. Now that's a tremendous, tremendous chus. The Chassam Sofer writes that one who learns Hilchos Shabbos, it brings tremendous baracha and great hashpa to the person. But the Toldos Adam writes, and this is fascinating, in Parshas Tetzaveh, by observing Shabbos, Shmira Shabbos kehilchasa, a person can merit and acquire sechel and das, midois, and shleimus that normally he can't reach. He can't achieve based on his teva. But since Shabbos is above teva, it allows you to tap into areas above your teva and you can reach shleimus, mamisha, to be an Adam Shalem. The Taz in his Akdama to Siman Reish Mem Beis writes a fascinating thing. We look at Yom Kippur as the great day, the laundromat. You come in sort of not so clean, you come out pure and clean. Says the Taz, observing Shabbos, Shmira Shabbos ki hilchasa, is greater and can provide greater atonement than Yom Kippur. Why is that? Because in Yuma Peivav we learned Yom Kippur doesn't always work for everything. Arba chilukei kapara, the Gemara says. Mitzvahs eseh, you just bang on your chest a few times, you're good to go. Mitzvahs lo yisaseh, well, it depends. What type of lo yisaseh? If it's involved kares, if it involves chilul Hashem, sometimes Yom Kippur is just not enough. And you need Yisurim, and you need Misa, it's not enough. But in Shabbos, Kuf Yud Ches, the Gemara says, Kol ha-shomer Shabbos kehilchasoi, afilu oived avodah zora, kedor enosh, moicha liloi. Shabbos has the power to atone without sigufim. You don't need to roll in the snow. You don't need to roll in the thorns. You don't need misa. You know any type of yisurim. Shabbos has the power to atone. Says the Taz. This carries a lot of weight. The Taz. That it's greater in that respect than Yom Kippur, and therefore the only way to be able to be shomer Shabbos ki ilchaso is to learn the halachos which you're involved in now. So it's a fantastic thing. I think the best way to teach unknown halachos, as in any other area that one tries to learn, is to do it in a form of questions and answers, and maybe even in a way of riddles. Chazal say that when you learn in that form, it's easier to remember. So let's try. We're going to present all kinds of riddles, and let's see what the Talmidei Chachamim sitting here, how they can figure it out. Maybe with a little help, we'll find some unknown halachos. So let's start with the first question. Do we put on tefillin on Shabbos?
No.
You do?
No.
No? I thought you said yes. Great. We all agree, right? And who is the person that has to put tefillin on Shabbos? 3 possible answers. And we're not talking about a person who made a vow. We're not talking about a person who's sick. Everybody is healthy. And yet, you're saying he found it in the middle of the field. And it's 10 o'clock in the morning. He can't wait until 9 o'clock at night. Eruvin Sadihei, Paskan Lacha Shulchan Aruch. And therefore he has to put it b'derech malbush. And then he walks in to town. That's one person, but he has 2 other friends. Who else has to put on tefillin on Shabbos? You're sending us to Shulchan Aruch Shin Mem Daled and the Biur Halacha. A person who's stuck in the desert, he doesn't know what day it is. He has to put on tefillin every single day of the week. Because his Tuesday, maybe is Shabbos. See, what he does, he keeps 6 days. He counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the 7th is Shabbos. Could be that the 7th is really Tuesday, but he doesn't know. So therefore, he has to put on tefillin every single day of the week. It comes out. This is a riddle built in within a riddle. You can ask another riddle here, based on the Biur Halacha. It's Moiradik. Who has to put tefillin on, but not when he's davening shachris? It's this person. On Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, his count, he has to put in tefillin on shachris. But on his Shabbos, well, again, could be a Tuesday or Wednesday, he cannot put tefillin on Shabbos when he's davening, because that's Tartei Desate. How can he say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank you very much for the Shabbos you gave me? So what is the tefillin doing in your head? That's Tartei Desate. So he should not wear it during Shachris, and right after Shachris he can put them on. So he wears them all week long, but he doesn't wear them during Shachris. It's a Chiddush. That's the second person. Who's the third person that has to put his tefillin on Shabbos?
I think it's someone who had 2 brothers.
Tumas Adesha. Now this is not la'alacha. The first 2 were la'alacha. Tumas Adesha brought in the Beis Yosef. We do not pass it like this, but it's a rishon, and therefore it carries a lot of weight. An arel shemesu echav machmas mila. The first baby in that family was born and died after the circumcision. The second as well. We do not circumcise the third one because we paskin like Reb Shimon in this case, like Reb Yehuda, I'm sorry, that chazaka is constituted by twice because it's an Indian of sakana, even though normally we say chazaka 3 times. Why? Indian of sakana. Says that Tumas Adesha, every Yid does not wear tefillin on Shabbos because we need to have always 2 oises. We need to have an ois and another ois. You come into Shabbos, that's an ois. You also have a bris milah, so you have 2 oises on Shabbos. But on Arel, he wasn't able to have a bris milah. He comes into Shabbos with only 1 ois on Shabbos, and therefore he has to have 2. A Yid always has to have 2 oises, and therefore he puts on tefillin on Shabbos. Tefillin and Shabbos is his 2 oises. We do not pass on the halacha, but those are the 3 answers to our question. Let's ask another question. Learn. Is it possible that there's a person that will tell him on Shabbos you can only learn Gemara? Don't learn Rashi and Tosfos. He has a Gemara in front of him. Don't look at the Rashi Tosfos. No. Only Gemara. Rabbi said, can it be?
Only look hard in there. And it's a small print.
Why is he learning Le'or HaNor if Chazal said not? Rabbi Shmuel did that and you know what happened? Shabbos Daf Yud Beis. So why is he learning Le'or HaNor? Can't learn the Gemara as well. Not everybody together. What do you say, Rabbi Say? He's not so far off. Shulchan Aruch Siman Reish Ayin Vav Seif Aleph. It's towards the end of Shabbos. It's getting dark. But you're able to read the big font of the Gemara. Comes a goy and lights the light just for you. He did it just for you. And now this will enable you to read the small print, which you wouldn't be able to otherwise. You can continue doing what you did before. But you're not allowed to benefit from what he did. Mimeles, you'll be able to continue only learning the Gemara and not Rashi and Tosfos. Can it be something which is mutar to carry on Shabbos? It's not muktzeh. It didn't break. However, it turns to become muktzeh on Shabbos.
On Shabbos again.
On Shabbos it becomes muktzeh. It didn't break. Can it be? Two possible answers.
On Shabbos it becomes.
On Shabbos, in the middle of Shabbos, it becomes muktzeh, but nothing happened to it.
In the beginning of Shabbos, it was not. Just
It was not. I even used it before 5 minutes ago. Now tell me stop. It's muktzeh, but it wasn't muktzeh before.
For a meal that was postponed.
I can answer the.
What about Nesek? Do you use that Nesek on Shabbos?
No, I'm asking. That's where that. But I'm not going.
I'm sorry.
The answer was muktzah at the beginning of Shabbos too.
Yeah.
So that's what. At what point does it become?
You'll tell me. In the middle of Shabbos, at 10:42 a.m.
Mila that became postponed at the last minute.
What about Mila?
Bris Mila that was Bismano in Shabbos.
Yeah.
That became postponed at the last minute.
Yeah.
So the Moyel from the Mishnah of Shabbos, they can bring whatever they need. I mean, stop as soon as there's no need for the bris.
Very good, but you don't even have to go that far. The first answer is Klei Mila right after the Mila. If there is no other babies to perform Bris Mila on them, it becomes Muktzeh, Sha'ar HaTziyun. Similarly, Klei Kvura, second day Yontif, where they're allowed to bury. After the Cheved Kadisha did what they needed to do, if there is no need to bury other people, the Klei Kvura becomes Muktzeh. Mila Bizmana, you just said, override Shabbos. Can it be? Second day Yontif. Second day Yontif for Kvura. We bury people on the second day Yontif. How can it be that Mila b'Shabbos overrides Shabbos? There's a moyel here. Yireh Shamayim medaktik b'mitzvahs. Healthy. The baby is here. Healthy, strong. All the Klei Mila are here. And yet, even though it's the 8th day, we're not going to perform the Mila. Can it be? No suffix. All tzaddikim, we know for a fact that he was born at 10 a.m. on Shabbos last week. He is healthy, the moyel is healthy, there's more than 10 people here, there's even good food for after, and yet? No, so Avada, it doesn't override Shabbos. Lichoira, Mila that has to be performed on Shabbos. Mitzvah bali altach mitzena. Shehu ye mitzvah lo mashinan. It's the 8th day, it's a mitzvah from the Torah. And yet, we're not going to. Can it be? This appears twice in Shulchan Aruch, in Hilchos Mila, Yoredei Reish Samech Vav Sif Zayin, and again in Hilchos Shabbos, and Shin Lamed Aleph. And the Mishnah Berurah says, Shulchan Aruch already says, if there's a moyer, that this is his first time, he doesn't perform Mila on Shabbos. Why? Because we're afraid. It's his first time. He's not an expert. Maybe he's going to make a mistake. And if he does make a mistake, it turns into a Chabala on Shabbos, and therefore we don't use a person that's his first time for Mila on Shabbos. What is it that you can only do with something which is muktzeh? If it's not muktzeh, you can't do it. Strange question. If it's muktzeh, so you can use it to do that thing. But if it's not muktzeh, you can't do it. Two possible answers. If there is in a vessel an item which is muktzeh, so you can throw in another muktzeh inside. Graf shel rei, something which is disgusting, it's muktzeh, but you're allowed to take it and put it in there. But if there's nothing in the vessel, you're not allowed to put it inside, because then what are you doing? Mevatel kli mehechanoi. That's first answer. Second answer. Orach Chaim, Reish Ayin Zayin Seif Dalet. On Erev Shabbos, you're allowed to put the ner of Shabbos on a tree and keep it there. It's going to light. Because it's muktzeh. We're not suspecting people are going to come on Shabbos, going to forget, oh, sure, you got to take it off. It's muktzeh, you're not going to touch it. However, on Erev Yontif, you're not allowed to put the ner over there, because on Yontif you're allowed to carry the ner, and therefore we're afraid you're going to take it off the tree, and you're not allowed to use a tree on Shabbos or on Yontif. So only with a muktzeh you can do this. Both people cooked for a Yid. It was Reuven, the Jew, who cooked for his friend Shimon, and it was his friend the Goy, who also cooked for Shimon. We tend to think, what's more severe?
Wait, what did the guy cook?
Whatever the Jew cooked. Piece of meat. They cooked the same thing. The Yid? Can it be that the Goy's action carries more severe consequences? Not pikuach nefesh. Not pikuach nefesh. We're not talking to pikuach nefesh. The Jew is a rasha. The Goy is not a rasha because he's allowed to cook. So you're saying we go into the problem of bishul akum as far as the food. And what if it's a food that doesn't have bishul akum problem? For example, something which can be eaten raw, even if the Goy cooks it, it's no problem. Something which is eino oile al shulchan melachim does not become also by bishul akum. So he cooked some carrots. Carrots, correct? But I'm changing it. What's that? Well, in some place, according to the Gemara, you're right. According to the Gemara, you're right. Today, I don't think most people do it. Today, that will go into a shaila of sushi, raw. So he cooked carrots. What can be possibly wrong, more severe with the Goy's action, more so than the Yid's? Can it be? Oh, explain. When the Goy did it, why? B'chdei sheyasu. Why?
It's a special knas.
Why?
We might ask a Goy to do it.
Because next week I'm going to tell them, this is great. You're cooking for me on Shabbos. I have what to eat, finally. But a Yid who cooks for somebody else, I don't have to wait. That's the first thing. What's the second thing? What happens to the kli that he cooked it in? Says the Mishnah Berurah, if it's a Yid who cooks in something on Shabbos, if he cooked it for somebody who's sick, no problem, nothing happened. Somebody who needs it, pikuach nefesh. But if he cooks it just because he cooked it, because he's a rasha, so that kli needs hag'ala. A Goy, it doesn't make a difference who he cooked it for. If he cooked it, you need to do hag'ala to the pot, and therefore, in that respect, there's two more severe things in the Goy than the Yid. Now listen to a Maisa. I'm going to tell you a story. A terrible Maisa. Terrible, terrible Maisa. There's a young couple. The father holds that his mother-in-law, the food there is not kosher. Can't eat there. It's nonsense. But that's what he thinks. He warned his wife many times, do not take food from your mother and bring it here. One winter Friday, when Shabbos is, comes in at 4 o'clock, and she has a lot of kinderlach to take care of, and she just didn't have the time to prepare a chulent before Shabbos. When did she remember? When her husband went to shul already. So, oy vey! So she runs to her mother, who lives close by, and she takes a pot of chulent, and she puts it on the plata. The husband comes back, and he sees this. He sees a pot that he doesn't recognize. He realizes, oh, this is from your mother. And I told you not to bring food from your mother. And he starts yelling, and he goes crazy. And guess what else he did? Srasha Mirusha. He opened up the fridge, he took milk, and he poured it into the children. This comes from gaiva that leads into tremendous gas. Can do crazy things. The wife said, Adkan, that's it. Can't tolerate this. And she left and she went back to her parents. And the wife says, I cannot live with a person who violates 3 Isurei Deoraisa. I want divorce. 3 Isurei Deoraisa, not 1. They are. Mevashel b'Shabbos, Basar b'Chalav, Bal Tashchis. I don't want to live with him. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, you know what? Erase my name as long as it will be Shlom Bais, which means if this was gymnastics, we have to do acrobatics in halacha and do whatever we can, stretch our imagination, stretch halacha to try and restore Shlom Bais. Is there anything that we can do to help this couple? And to say, wow, lady, it's not so bad. Like what you're saying, you're stirring 3 Isurei Deoraisa. We're saying it's not so bad. Maybe she's right. Rabbi Yisai, what do you say? Applying Hilchos Shabbos is not only for Hilchos Shabbos. It's also for Shlom Bais and anything that we can do with it. What do you say? Let's attack the first issue. Is she right?
What was the first issue?
Bishul b'Shabbos.
Maybe not.
How not? You take milk and you pour it into a boiling pot of chunt.
Maybe it's not boiling. Maybe
It's boiling, bubbling. Pasteurized it's an interesting chakira. What is pasteurized? Which also nafka mina for wine. Yei nesech. If pasteurized is in fact. But let's assume that it's not. They live in a moshav and they just milked the cow a few hours ago and it's not pasteurized. Real, lichoira, cooking on Shabbos. Oh! On Shabbos we have a rule. Kol mekalkelin, turin. Mimele, it's still asu. Don't tell me it's a deoraisa though. We just reduce it to a derabanan. She can't live with a person who violates isurei deoraisa. 3 for the price of 1. So, lady, an isur deoraisa bishul b'Shabbos you don't have here. You have an isur derabanan. Shabbos Chuvas Rashi Besamim has a similar shaila like this, and he says, since you created something which is asu behana, it's mekalkel, kol mekalkelim turim. Great.
We could even bring it down if you said that she got cold challenge from her mother.
No.
It was raw.
It was hot, it's boiling, bubbling on the plata.
Is it pleasure?
It's asu behana, it's nothing. Has to be consumed in fire. Basar bechala, second issue. What do you say about this, Rabbi Sam?
If he holds it straight,
Yeah.
then it's hard.
Doesn't hold that it's tafis. He doesn't buy horse meat. But he holds it's not up to his standards. It's not kosher over there. Of course, the mother is from. But to his standards, it's not kosher. What'd you say? I'm sorry? Somebody said something there?
It's a substantial amount. I'm assuming it's not.
It's not batel berov. It's batel berov v'shayla. He poured the milk. Shh. What do you say? Can we help them out on this one?
Well, you could always say that look, if it's straight from the cow and he hasn't really gone through the homogenization and the pasteurization process,
Yeah.
and
So it's not milk?
enrichment process, then you could say it's not really 100% olive.
What is it? What would you want to call it?
It's straight from the cow.
That's how Avoseinu used to drink milk. And on that, the Torah said, don't cook meat with milk.
How much milk did he throw in the pot?
A lot. A lot. You wanted to make sure that you don't touch it.
So no chance.
No way. No way. No bitul beroi. He knows what he's doing. We have to go to Berlin to figure this one out. In the times of Samson and Farad Hirsch and Reb Meir Shapira, they had a suffix. These great people had a suffix. There was a shaila on the chocolate there, if it's kosher or not. Could be there's something in there, some kind of meat ingredient. And the only way to find out back then was to take it to the lab, to melt it, and to find out. Are you allowed to do this?
You're talking about Tom now?
What's that?
Indian of Tom? No?
They wanted to know what are the ingredients in the chocolate. The only way to do it is in the lab. But the Torah says not only don't eat basar bechalav, not only don't benefit from it, don't cook it. Even if you're not planning to eat. Even if you're using a goy. Torah is d'oraisa. Can you do it or not? So they wanted to say no. A young genius came to town, and that was a Chabinerov, later to be the Doivev Meisharim, and he writes it in Simin Lamed Aleph in the Doivev Meisharim, Chelek Aleph. And he says, Yesh lehakel. You can send it to the lab. Doivev Meisharim. What's going on? Says the Doivev Meisharim. Why does the Torah say don't cook meat and milk? Mishneh LaMelech, Tumas Mes, Perek Aleph Halacha Beis says, why? Because you're going to come to eat it. If you're going to cook it, you're going to come to eat it. Here, why am I sending to the lab? In order not to eat it. He brings the raya. Psochim Yud Aleph. If you didn't do Bdikas Chametz before Pesach, just remember in the middle of Chol HaMoed, what do? When do you do Bdikas Chametz? Now! And why are you not afraid you're going to come to eat the Chametz? What happens when you find Chametz in the middle of Yontif and you can't burn it? You put something over it, right? Why? Because you're afraid you're going to touch it, you're going to come to eat it. Ain't no boidel from it the entire year. So why are you allowed to do Bdikas Chametz now? Because what's the Bdikas Chametz for? In order to burn it, to find it and to burn it. Says it to the Misharim. Why am I sending it to the lab? In order to make sure not to eat it if it has some meat ingredients. But you know what we just did here? This is called Darshinan, Taima, Deka. You say, I see the mitzvah, I understand where it's coming from, so it doesn't apply here. That's called Darshinan, Taima. Do we Darshan, Taima, Deka? There was a person who did it. His name was Shlomo HaMelech. What did he Darshan? What two mitzvahs? The Torah says, don't increase wives, don't increase horses, because, so Shlomo says, I see the reasons, it doesn't apply to me. But this is wrong. The Gemara says it didn't work for him. How much more so for us? So is this considered being Darshan Taima Deka? The Shita Mekubetzes in Bab Metzia Daf Tzadi brings. Over there the Gemara discusses the lav of Lotachsom Shor Bedishoy. The shor is working, you're not allowed to muzzle him. Says the Gemara, but what if the shor has diarrhea? Then you're allowed to. Why are you allowed to do this? Because it's going to be terrible for it if it's going to continue to eat. Says the Shita Mekubetes, aren't we darshaning Taima Deka? What are you doing here? The Torah says no. The Torah didn't say in parentheses, by the way, but if the shor doesn't feel well, you can. The Torah says no. You're saying the reason is because it's going to cause Tsar Ba'alei Chaim. Well, here, the real Tsar Ba'alei Chaim is to allow it to continue to eat. That's called Darshinan Taima Deka. The Shita Mekubetzes brings the Rosh. And the Rosh sends us to Baba Kama Daf Kuf Tezvav Amud Aleph, Lo tachavol beged almana. So the Gemara over there says, well, it depends. Reb Shimon and Reb Yehuda. Reb Shimon says, it depends if the lady, the almana, is rich or poor. If she is a poor widow, and you lend her some money, don't take her pajamas. Don't take her suit. Because at night, you're going to have to come back. She's poor. She doesn't have anything else to wear. You're going to have to come back at night and give it to her. You're going to have to come back in the morning and give her whatever the skirt that she's wearing. And the neighbors are going to start talking, why is this guy here every night and every morning? What's going on with this almana? You're going to cause her to have a bad name. Says the Shita Mekubetz, it brings the Rosh. Even according to Rabbi Yehuda, who does not darshan Taima Deka like Rabbi Shimon, he would admit in the case of the shor that here you're allowed to muzzle him. Why? Because here it's so clear what the Torah writes, that the only reason not to do it is because it's going to cause Tsar Ba'alei Chaim. So when the real Tsar Ba'alei Chaim is to allow it to continue eating, it's as if the Torah says so. This is Rabbeinu Arosh. It's Rishonim. So when everybody understands that's the reason, it's as if it's written in the Torah. Therefore the Shabbat Nerov understood, like the Mishnah Lamelech, that when the Torah says don't cook it, it means it's in order because you're going to come to eat it. Here I'm not going to come to eat it. It's exactly the opposite. Maybe it's not a problem. The Chazon Ish writes similarly, that the Ramban writes, Keivan shehu pashut uvichlal pshuto. The Ramban brings reasons for the mitzvahs. Matnos aniyim. And the Ramban says it's so pashut as if it's